Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 006 of the Cedral Brief. It is Monday, June 15th. We've got the start of another week. I'm your host, Tyler, and I'm very excited. We've got a lot to chit-chat about today. So we'll start off, as always, with some crypto prices, with some crypto news. We'll rope in some AI stuff because there's been a lot of AI development since my last episode last Friday. I made a Cedral Brief episode on Saturday. Saturday was supposed to be 006, but I wasn't feeling it. It was a Saturday episode. I was breaking the Anthropic news, and it just didn't really jazz me up, so I deleted it. We're starting from scratch. We're picking up where we left off from 005, and let's get into it. So Bitcoin is currently trading at $66,591. It is up 3.5% from yesterday. Ethereum is $1,783, up 7% from yesterday. And Solana, $73.02, up almost 8% from yesterday. So the lower down the market cap curve you go, the higher the increase in price we've got with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And there's some pretty obvious and some pretty not so obvious news that's driving some crypto market prices right now. The big obvious one is the greatest striptease of the 21st century, and that is the United States-Iran peace deal that has been suggested and thrown in the trash about 100 times since the war's inception. And according to President Trump and the current administration, the deal has been signed, and I guess there's just waiting on an official Iran announcement or certain finalities or what have you. I'm not a politician. I never want to be. But that is the word, okay? So the word is that there is a peace deal, an official peace deal. Again, this is the word. And crypto prices, and I'm not sure. No, market opens in 20 minutes. It'll probably be open by the time I'm finishing this episode. I guess U.S. equities futures are looking really positive. And yeah, stuff's starting to fly off the shelves because the DJT once more said that there will be peace in the Middle East. We have heard that script a million times, but we will see if they pull through. Nonetheless, it's working in crypto. Fear and greed is currently sitting at 20, which is still extreme fear, but it's not 9 like it was last week. So we've got some positive momentum developing, and it's going to be reliant on the news to continue to stay positive. We're going to need this Iran peace talks to continue to move in the right direction and be finalized and move on, and who knows. From my understanding, Israel is continuously messing this up. I guess there was the last time this happened or whatever I saw, that it was, I think it was a news outlet that was quoting Donald Trump, and I forget what he said. It was something to the effect of, we were getting so close, and then Israel came out and dropped bombs, yada, yada, yada. So a little bit of a thorn in the side of peace there. And yeah, so we are moving on. And institutions continue to buy crypto. Strategy, per Michael Saylor, on X this morning, bought another 1,500 something Bitcoin, and their total holdings now come out to almost 850,000 Bitcoin. Astronomical. Also, Tom Lee's BitMine purchased more Ethereum. I don't know what their exact Ethereum holdings amount is. I know it's significant. They purchased more, and now they own almost 5% of the entire Ethereum supply. So once again, as always, the institutions are buying your crypto. So congratulations for selling at a loss, because now the institutions are going to buy before the generational pump. So good job there. And crypto's starting to rebound, and this is a little bit exciting because there's a couple of different things going on. Obviously, we have the Iran peace deal. We have all of the macro news, all of that stuff. We could be in a decent position for the summertime here. If peace remains in Iran, we could see the beginning of the next leg up based on news and some hopefully more positive news coming down the pipe. And we might finally see some green days, weeks, what have you. So this has been good. Bitcoin cracking back above 66,000 is a positive, obviously. And seeing the alts run a little bit too is, I mean, that's a good sign. You know, it's a good sign. There's some faith coming back into the markets. Fear and greed is starting to rise, but not too much. Still at extreme fear, sitting at 20. And Solana is sitting at $73.32. I think the last time I really talked about how badly I wanted to ape into Solana, it was sitting at $63. So it's up $10 since then. And it is continuing to move. Just since we started this episode, is up another percent. It is almost at 8.5% now. So we've got some life, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying this is going to be sustainable. I'm not saying we won't completely crash in 2 days when the peace deal falls through, but I'm just saying that this is a good sign. Bitcoin is reacting to macro news. It is reacting to this peace deal agreement very obviously. There have been times in the past, good news comes out, Bitcoin's stagnant. Good news comes out, Bitcoin's just asleep. Right now, this is not the case. It is very obvious that it is reacting to peace deal news, and I'd say this is a good sign. I'd say this is a really good sign. And this quick headline agrees with that. Crypto starts the week driven by macro and geopolitical positioning. CoinDesk's June 15th market feed points to a week shaped by Middle East developments, central bank decisions, oil moves, and risk asset positioning. Bitcoin-related stories were tied more to geopolitics, carry trades, and macro expectations than to a new protocol catalyst, obviously. But so Bitcoin is really starting to move with the macro, which is a good sign. And if you are like me and you anticipate more positive macro news coming down the pike soon, within the next couple of days, weeks, months, what have you, I think we might have a good summer. I think we might have a good summer into a good fall. And, call me Johnny Optimistic, but I really believe that we could have bottomed. We could have bottomed when we briefly touched 59 last week. I have been saying we've bottomed at pretty much every dip for the last 4 years. So take that with a grain of salt. Not financial advice. None of this is. And so, but that's kind of how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling. Ethereum's at 1,800 now, up 8%. So, we got stuff rising as we speak. And it's a good feeling. It is a good feeling. So briefly, I will segue into AI news because now this is a couple days old. It's been on the shelf for a few days now. It's still massive nonetheless, but it's the fact that the United States government told Anthropic to shut down Fable 5. So their newest model, that was a Mythos class model, Fable 5. Mythos, of course, was the model that they deemed too dangerous for public use, so they shelved it and only gave it to the government and I think like Mag 7 companies, so that's great. Unless you're rich and powerful, you can't have access to the best inference in the world. Don't worry about it though. You'll be fine in the underclass. And so the public didn't have access to Mythos class models, and so what they did do is they slapped on guardrails to Mythos and said, "Go nuts, kids. Now you can use the model. We've nerfed it a little bit for you." And allegedly, it was still too powerful for the comfort of some. The reports that I read were that Amazon was behind this, that there were individuals at Amazon who I guess reported and alleged that using Fable 5 can be dangerous for XYZ reasons. And so the government absolutely took that to the face and said, "Yep, you're right," and said to Anthropic, "You need to pull this model ASAP." And Anthropic, from what I understand, gladly obliged. Dario came out, I think, a day or two or a week later and said that the government should have the ability to completely restrict what models are on the free market. So you got your wish, Dario. Congratulations. And Anthropic loses Fable. This is a massive step in the wrong direction for AI inference freedom in the United States. And if there's ever been a more time to advocate for open source local AI and or private cloud-based, like a company like Venice, you can use private models, you can use end-to-end encrypted in a TEE environment models. You can, it's the closest thing to open source local that you can run. If there's ever been a time to advocate for these entities, it is right now, because the government just showed that at the snap of the finger, they can remove the most powerful model on the planet from public hands. And if you ask me, it's probably going to be, unless you're rich and powerful, you're not going to have access to the best models. So it's very spooky for a slew of reasons. By the way, Ethereum's almost up even more now since we've been chit-chatting. It's up almost 9.5%, so that's fantastic. But yeah, it's really sad. The best frontier model on the planet was ripped out of the public's hands, and it's just a really bad sign of things to come. And I have my own little personal thesis on how I think that this will develop, and it goes a little something like this. I think that the dust has not settled in our two-party system on how they are going to divvy up the AI problem and segregate the masses. And here's what I mean by that. So right now, left or right, I don't think anyone really has an opinion on AI. Of course, the left is taking a hard stance against data centers. They're drawing a hard line in the sand, and they are coming out with some wild accusations about data centers that are completely false and not true. But they're essentially saying, we don't want data centers for this reason. We should just, instead of data centers, build affordable housing. So, okay. And then the right side, I guess right now, I guess you could just kind of call it the fact that they took Fable off the shelf, right? It's the current administration, it's Republican administration, what have you. And that could have something to do with it. I mean, maybe they're, who knows, right? The point is, the dust hasn't settled. We don't know what the Democrats and what the Republicans are going to take stance-wise on AI. And I think they're figuring out right now. I think the script is unfolding as we speak, so that they can divide us the best. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be a party who's probably going to spearhead, we shouldn't have this technology, and or we shouldn't have data centers, we shouldn't have this technology is too dangerous, yada, yada, yada. And then naturally the other party is just going to probably be contrarian and say, no, we should. So it might go a little bit something like that. It might be a little more extreme. I'm not sure. It might not be quite as black and white, but right now, the two-party system is trying to find a way to politicize this. And then what's going to happen is what always happens. You're going to have everyday Americans who are actively trying to give up their rights. They are actively going to try to advocate against AI. When they don't know anything about it, they're going to view it as this sort of, antithesis to human creation type thing, which it obviously is not. I mean, am I saying that one day AI can be the worst thing ever for humanity? That's probably going to happen, right? I've seen sci-fi movies. It probably will happen that at a certain point, AI is going to kill us all, right, down the line. But until that day comes, it's going to be a slow, gradual transition. And for a long time, it's probably going to be the greatest creation that human beings have ever invented to aid themselves until it's not. And so the people who are claiming that it's very bad right now have never used it, don't understand its capabilities. They know absolutely nothing. And they lack the foresight to see, here's all of the areas in which we can implement AI that can make our lives even better. I mean, newsflash, you don't have to drive yourself anymore, everyone. You can get a Tesla with full self-drive, and it literally drives for you. So I'm not sure people realize that's happening right now. Hey, guys, guess what? You don't have to drive your car anymore. It's a pretty substantial innovation in our lifetimes. And so there's going to be many other areas in which AI becomes so obviously relevant and makes such an insane difference in our day-to-day lives. And so kind of spiraling a little bit on this tangent, but the government's going to politicize this. They sort of already are, but pretty soon I think it's going to be much more segregated, much more black and white. This party thinks this party thinks that. And they're just kind of waiting to divide us even more, that this way they can so easily rope people onto the bandwagon. Because they're going to say to someone, AI is taking your jobs and data centers are taking your land. And people are going to be like, and just lose their mind, right? And I mean, because there's so many half-truths to that. It's like, yes, AI is going to take people's jobs. And yes, data centers are going to occupy land. But obviously, if you have a frontal lobe, it's not that simple, right? And, look, there are going to be times where insert hyperscaler might do some pretty shitty things. Obviously, this has been going on long before AI. Factory opens, the capitalistic machine is going to grow and start to devour the very things we love. Like when, Grandpa John's 1,000-acre farm was a farm, and now it's a gigantic condominium complex. Like, right? So we get it. We know this stuff happens. No one's saying that's not the case, but it's not. I mean, guys, this is not. Everyone relax. AI is not going to take over the world for a long time. Enjoy it while it's for us. And right now it is. If you actually find a way to implement super intelligence in your day-to-day life, your life will get significantly better. And when the day comes where mundane tasks are completely autonomous and performed by AI, like, you will be thanking it. You could say I haven't grocery shopped in 15 years, right? Maybe you like to grocery shop. Maybe that's not the right example for you. But to the person who hates it, that's going to be a tedious task that you don't have to do anymore, right? So like little things like that. We just all need to pump the brakes. And the United States government banning Fable 5, saying you can't have this right now, I believe is a sign of what's to come. There's going to be more. It's going to be very similar to how they treated crypto, right? Gary Gensler, Elizabeth Warren made it synonymous with drugs. And, it just became a way that they could say this is bad because, of course, as we know, the banks, they had no control over it. They needed to get out in front of it. They wanted a way to make money off of it, and it was a direct threat to their business. So they lobbied Elizabeth Warren. She went to war on their behalf. Gary Gensler, the same thing, yada, 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 right? Now, banks that they're positioned correctly are like, hey, crypto's pretty good, guys. 4 years later, after they said it was a complete scam, Jamie Dimon came out and said, if anybody in JP Morgan anywhere has bought Bitcoin, they're fired. And now he's saying, man, Bitcoin's actually probably the future, right? So it's like these people are completely two-faced and lying to you. And I think AI is going to be kind of similar. There's going to be people out that probably come out and say, we probably shouldn't have these models. This is probably dangerous. We probably shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. And then by the time they're completely positioned the right way, they're probably going to say, okay, now everyone needs this stuff, right? So look, I don't know. I'm just a dude in this room drinking coffee, spewing into a mic, but that's my simpleton take, if you will. But that's going to do it right now. I did not bring my fastball today, okay? Admittedly, I did not bring my fastball. I woke up actually pretty late. I slept in, had a banging headache, didn't feel good, still drinking my first cup of coffee, and I just kind of turned the on button for my voice on and just kind of let it go, let it ramble. So we covered a little bit of crypto, the current prices, macro conditions, what's going on in the Middle East, why that's somewhat affecting crypto prices and will continue to do so. We covered the Anthropic news with the U.S. government, what that could mean, our solution, open source local AI, private inference, yada, yada, yada. That's what's going on. That's the Cedral Brief episode 006. If you liked it, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, do all of that stuff. It helps me out a ton. And thanks for listening. Godspeed and have a great day.